to fucking Wale
Welcome
back.
back to Stadium Rant. Welcome back to
Oh,
the Bounce powered by Stadium Rant. I am your host, Kev. With me, as always, is James, and we are fired up because not only do we have trade deadline rumors abundant, but all-star reserves have been announced, and the craziest.
yes, they have.
Oh man! And before we get into the most insane trade demand, I guess I have a quick question for you, James.
All
What
right.
do you see when you look at this?
Seems like let's talk logistics.
Mm,
Seems like he's watching the play, right? So that
yeah,
typical fan, right?
yeah. Look at those eyes. Look
He's
at those
he
eyes.
is like he's admiring LeBron, which I would do if I was in the stands at a game. Correct? You do the same.
Yes, yes. If I paid front row
However,
seats.
however, he misses the slap on the arm to lose the game. He misses that one.
just a small
bit.
oversight, one that I will say the Lakers, to their credit, James, they handled it with the utmost courage.
Oh yes,
Very
very
very calm.
respectful. Like nothing's wrong with him. Oh my god, this is embarrassing, Kev.
Now I will say, if there was ever
There we go.
a earned technical foul, it was this
Oh,
one
it's
right here.
it's quite possibly the best fucking technical foul ever.
The absolute best.
It's
Yeah, if
quite
you're
possibly the best technical foul ever. Like I got excited and pulled it out. Like it's the best technical foul in the history of mankind, man. Like I respect it. Like, hey, let's take. Okay, like, you seen this? Like, let's look at this.
and we missed the second angle, which was after the technical was called. You had Beverly decided to hold up the camera while pointing at the image of the foul. So then the whole world got to see that he was showing the evidence of the play. So, yeah, I mean,
I respect it. Like, yeah.
if you're gonna get the tech, you might as well say, "Hey, listen, I know what happened, and you know, do."
He didn't earn it by being disrespectful. He just pulled it up and said, "Hey, just you're wrong."
Got it on tape. But first of all, I what an overreaction to the end call. That was very entertaining. You would have thought this is the way I had it put to me. LeBron seemed more put together when J.R. Smith cost them an NBA Finals game than he did during that.
It's wild, right? Like that was an explosion of epic proportions, like just an epic meltdown. In like you said, JR missed the layup. Like just would have, if he shoots it, he wins the game, and he was more composed. It's so in like the whole LeBron. It's all over the place on how you feel about LeBron, because like stuff like that makes you be like, no, like what are you doing?
Yeah, it really it makes it easy for those that hate LeBron. And I am admittedly someone who goes back and forth with him, because in one sense, our generation, or the generation of sports fans who've been watching sports for this century, has been blessed. But between LeBron and Brady,
Yeah.
that kind of greatness, it can people my age, it can be easy to kind of take that for granted, because we had Michael Jordan, and about 3 years later, or not 3 years later, it was maybe close to a decade. I can't remember the exact year. It was maybe like 9 year. Whenever LeBron came out, what was it like? Oh, I don't remember. 06, something like that. I
But you
can't remember
got
the exact
Kobe in
year.
the middle of it too. Like
Yeah.
like we're
So
very
we've had
spoiled. Yeah.
generational talent. And so we're just used to like, oh, there's always this greatest ever, and I don't think Kobe made a lot of people's top 3 of all time. But still we did have, like, there was that icon, and yeah. So on the one hand, I'm appreciative of LeBron, because I know that I may live the whole rest of my life and
We might never
My
see a player like
no,
him again, man. Like that, that's
exactly.
wild.
Which, James, I think is what makes the bad stuff about him that much more intolerable, right? Where it's like, you are already so great. Why don't you have any self-confidence? Why
That's like
why are
it's
you always
man.
like this, man? Why are you come on, stop it.
I don't. I just even his whole career, I've never seen something like that. The the whininess that's come in his recent shebang. Like my favorite LeBron was villain LeBron with the Heat, him, D Wade, like I'm against the world. Like you never saw that stuff. Like it didn't. It's just so, and it's happened with last week and a half, 2 weeks. It's relentlessly bad.
It's
Like
LA.
it comes out whiny. Like I get it. You get fouled. Guess what? You didn't lose. You went to overtime. So, but he threw a
You had a
fucking
chance.
language. Sorry, Stadium Rant.
Yeah.
Threw a tantrum for the ages.
Yeah, he did. It's Friday night, by the way, so forgive us
Yeah,
for our
yeah.
laid
We're a
back
little.
demeanor. Let
Yeah.
us know in the chat what you think. What is your take on LeBron? Do you stand in awe of the greatness, or are you entwined in endless frustration at the pettiness and the weird things, like posting a letter to yourself on Instagram a night before you've actually accomplished this big accomplishment? Thank God that there was no major injury, but it's something like he hadn't actually accomplished the thing that he was already congratulating himself for. And again, it's one of those, you are the
The
greatest.
guy.
People might want to argue whether you're number one or number two, but it's
You
just,
have an argument for the top.
yeah. And you
He's
still
about
like
to break the
pretend to
all.
read books and pretended
Yeah.
to do, you blatantly lie on television. You were about to say he's about to break the
Yes.
all-time leading record. You don't need these other little things,
You don't
man.
need a
Stop
fake
it.
man. Like you're right. He pulls out these. He's just like this. He pulls out this book and like you pop on me and Kevin. Like, oh, here we are. Here we go. Like no, like you are like there is no question. He's one of the top ever. He's about to break a scoring record. He's about to break Kareem's scoring record that most people thought was untouchable. And by all accounts, LeBron's got at least 2 to 3 more years in him playing at a high. He's going to put this number out of touch.
Yeah.
But to act like that is, and even if it's, I don't care who it is. Like it doesn't matter the historical significance. He's this close. Like you can't act like that, Kev. Like that's outrageous. That's embarrassing to throw a
It's
tantrum like that.
and you know what throws another wrench into it from my perspective is the fact, and we talked about this a little bit, at what the league does. There we go. Sorry about that. Any technical difficulties there, but the L2M report, the last 2 minute report, there of the calls that the league has acknowledged they've gotten wrong when it comes to Lakers games, the vast
Mm-hmm.
majority of those go in the Lakers' favor. So I kind of want to hear it. Let's look at the last night Lakers Pacers game. The Lakers won by 1
Yeah.
point. They were given 25 more
Mm-hmm.
free throws than Indiana. Okay, I don't want to hear it the one time it doesn't go your way just because it happened to be on
Yep.
national
Mm-hmm.
television. Yeah, the guy missed the call. That's as clear as day. No
But
argument here.
human error, like if you wanted to go back and watch every single game of LeBron's career, you could say something was called the wrong way, right? Like,
Absolutely.
and to act like that is it's outrageous. And also the refs when the call you were talking about when they were like what was their exact tweet? It wasn't hauntingly bad. It's gonna like they essentially said they screwed up and were crying themselves asleep. It was so bad.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it was like, come on, man. Like
They really kissed the ring on that. Yeah, they bow.
Yeah,
They're like, "We're so sorry. We're so
we're
sorry."
so like we screwed up. Like no, like you did, but you didn't need to
It's not
say
like we let
that.
you get away with a goaltend so you could
Yeah,
eliminate the
man,
Pacers a
come
few years
on,
ago,
bruh.
you know? You almost got knocked out in the first
Yeah,
round, but, thank goodness they kept their whistles in their pocket on that day, but
yep.
no, let's, which I get the frustration, I do, absolutely, as of my playing time, suggested, and coaching. I am the guy who had to be reminded that the Upward Youth Basketball League was a Christian organization, sir, and you're not allowed to speak to the officials that way. But listen,
Do your
my
thing,
brother, we
dog.
were going to the chip. All right, I was ready to go, and it was a true. It was like an old 90s sports movie. I was going up against one of my old high school basketball coaches was coaching his kids, and I was coaching my little brother. And
Oh yeah,
unfortunately, we
hell
didn't get the
yeah.
fairy tale ending. We got our butts whooped, but it wasn't for lack of trying from the old coach. I was in that ref's ear. But no, you so I get it. There you have passion, you play with passion, but it's you got to understand that it's part of the game, and if you really want to be frustrated, look at that tape in the fourth quarter. The Celtics should have never been back in this game. The Lakers had this game well in hand. They let the
Yeah.
Celtics come back. I believe was this game not happening during our episode last week? Was this not the game that went into overtime? Or maybe it was a different
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It might have been. Let me
I
hold
do
up.
remember
It
because
might have
I
been.
remember,
Yeah.
but the
Let's
moral of the
let's.
story was that the Lakers had this one in hand, and if they're
They should have
frustrated,
won it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It should have been over.
that's
Hold on.
who you want to blame.
Let's
It's
see
not.
here.
Don't let it come down to one official.
Oh no no no! The Knicks Celtics was the overtime game
Oh,
last
it was a
Thursday when we
different Celtics. Yeah, see,
and they
it's tricky
lost. Yeah yeah
Celtics. Yeah, yeah,
yeah
okay. It was a different team blowing a lead. Thank you
yeah.
for that. But
Yep.
well, we've talked at length here about the Lakers and their antics, and that's going to transition us well because LA may be getting even more Tinseltown-esque because
Yeah,
the
that's what you
one
think.
and the only
Unbelievable.
Kyrie Irving has once again caused a splash, this time by demanding a trade. Now, I have some alleged details behind this, but before I get into
Okay,
any of
Kev.
that, James, yeah, okay, well, I'll give you what I think I know
Mm-hmm.
before, and then I'll get your opinion, just so that way it's a little bit it's fair. We have all the context.
Yep.
Allegedly, the Nets had offered Kyrie an extension within the last week, but it was going to be, as we can all imagine, heavily, what do we call it, stipulated.
Mm-hmm.
There were going to be a lot of stipulations that Kyrie was going to have to meet in order to make sure that he got the lion's share of that contract. And the reports are that Kyrie believes that a player of his caliber should not be tied to such stipulations. And that is what broke down the negotiation. And currently, it is the word around the league that Kyrie has told the Nets, either you trade me or I will leave in July, although there hasn't been any word of I'm not going to play, although some are, of course, afraid of that. So I will stop there.
Mm-hmm.
James, what's your initial thoughts, feedback? What happened here? How you feeling?
Man, dude, the Nets backed themselves into a corner on this whole situation, didn't they?
Worse. I
An elite, they had
saw
a
it
great
today.
young core. They had a
Yep.
great young core, and they traded for Kyrie, James Harden, and signed Durant. And it's gone. As James Harden doesn't play for the Nets anymore, right? Been
Yep.
a
Nope.
while. Okay, got rid of him. Durant requested a trade this summer, correct?
That is correct.
And now, as of February 3rd, 2023, Kyrie has requested a trade off the team.
Kyrie is back out. Yes.
Ooh, bud.
Which makes for, and now I will throw in one more caveat, and this, I originally picked this up on Rob Perez's radio program,
Yep.
Worldwide Wob on
Worldwide
Twitter.
Wob.
everyone's favorite NBA tweeter, or at least for the highlight clips. Certainly, he does a lot of work. He's a hardworking man. Got to give him his credit.
Yep.
He suggests the following. He suggests that Kyrie, now displeased with not getting the contract the way that he wanted it, has now declined it, and he believes that at some point Kevin Durant will express his displeasure on social media, thus causing Joe Tsai to cave and give Kyrie a more Kyrie-friendly contract. Happily ever after, the Brooklyn Nets stay the Brooklyn Nets beyond the trade deadline. Do you think that's possible at all?
100%. It's absolutely possible. Like Katie's got that kind of pull to do that. Man, it's just the whole thing just screams diva. Like just screams, I'm better than the franchise, the program. Like it's, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, I don't disagree, and I would say, and I have said on other programs that it's gotten to a point locker room, I would have a hard time viewing Kyrie here again. Sorry about that. I'm not sure why we're having these technical difficulties today.
No idea what's going on here tonight.
This is what it's bad vibes. We'll be back to Thursday next week. Don't worry.
It's on me. Like, give you credit, Kev, for moving to Fridays. Bad vibes on Friday. A lot of internet usage on Fridays nights. Everybody's free.
Everybody go outside. Watch us later.
Kev, if you're an opposing team, why do you? So you're an opposing GM. Why do you trade for Kyrie? Riddle me this. Why would you trade for him? So he's an elite player, correct? We're not just debating this, right?
100%. I wouldn't. It's hard to even argue, and I think we tried to do it last week. It's hard to even argue against him as an all-star this year. You know, all-star start. He's hands down when he's on the court. He's one of the best. Now, sometimes when Kevin Durant's not out there, his play style is not conducive to what maybe will make the team win. I've seen him go 1-on-4 in some of these recent Brooklyn
100%. Yeah, 100%. He does what he wants to do.
And they'll be down 40 because of it. But no, I especially at this point, there are how many teams in the league that are going to be confident that they're going to re-sign Kyrie in July? Because that's the thing. This whole Kevin Durant thing is much different than what Kyrie's in now.
Yeah, you have to. If you're going to trade for him, you've got to have it. He's got to be signing. You're not trading for him on a rental, a couple month rental,
or otherwise you're not getting anything. If you're Brooklyn, right? You're not getting a return. You're at that point. You're lucky if you're getting draft capital at all, and you're certainly getting protected picks, and you're likely just getting a couple of players. So. Okay, I'm going to bring in a team that I was going to save because I do think the two prime options here are LA, and we'll spend a lot of time talking about the Lakers. I kind of preface this topic, but I use the Lakers to intro into this topic for a reason, because we will circle back to them. But I want to throw Phoenix into the mix here for a second, because if there was a team that had no ability to re-sign Kyrie, but that might still be interested in making a half-season trade for him, I've heard, what if you take the Phoenix Suns, Chris Paul, Jay Crowder, send them to Brooklyn in return for Kyrie, and then maybe the Suns make a playoff run, and then you start your rebuild next year.
So you do the Kawhi Leonard, or do you trade for him for 1 year, you win a title, and you move on?
Yeah. Are there any other teams outside of Phoenix that you could think that might because I feel like Phoenix is uniquely built because of Chris Paul's age and injury, where it's a position swap. You know,
then Devin Booker gets healthy. You got Ayton in the middle, like it just you upgrade on a guy that's just gotten old. Yeah.
Get active in the buyout market, because then once again, Phoenix becomes an incredibly attractive destination to some veterans in the buyout market, and that fits your plan, right? If you're going all in, knowing that it's just for one season, okay, you're going to be very heavily active in the buyout market
Yeah.
and just soak up a bunch of vets, and boom, there you go. So I see them as a dark horse, of course, but this Phoenix situation
That's
interests me a lot.
yeah. The rumors, everything I saw today said Lakers, Phoenix, Dallas, and Heat were the four teams I kept
And
seeing.
Heat. Now, okay, so let's talk very quickly about the Clippers then, so we can kind of rule them out because they haven't been
Yep.
super high on this, but on this list, but they have been admittedly and knowingly looking for point guards. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they've gotten a lot of good minutes out of Terrence Mann in that position,
Yep.
and he's been crucial. But if they had, that seems to be maybe one of the big things that the Clippers are missing outside of if just Kawhi and PG could play on a consistent basis. Who knows what this team would be capable of? But I do agree that, well, as we're sitting here, I don't see, without bringing in a third team, I don't really see how the Clippers make it work.
Yeah,
That
that
might,
one does. They don't have anything like they have. I don't know what you give. They've got a worse, like, at least with the Lakers package, it's picks and Russ. Like, I don't think it's good enough, but I don't even know what the Clippers would
and
give.
Russ, if Picks and Russ, let's pause on that one for a second. Picks and Russ has to go somewhere else. Kevin Durant's not gonna take Russell Westbrook back in Brooklyn, right? There's no way.
Not the version. It's not even close to the version he used to play with.
And he didn't like playing with that version.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end, at least, I don't think that
I,
fence has mended, and
does this
Russ isn't going to make this team win, so there's no way he's going to be happy about that.
because you got to remember that Kevin Durant's in the wings. Like, all right, so Kyrie wants out. So regardless of how you think, Kevin Durant is now suddenly the most powerful player in that building because what he says and what he wants matters. And you're gonna get rid of Kyrie, so you better get something back. It ain't Russ. It ain't picks for the future.
Exactly. They're not. This isn't a team that wants any of that for the future. This is still a team that I believe is win now mode.
Where are they at? Let's pull the standings right now. The Nets are fourth in the Eastern Conference. They are 5 games back from the Celtics. Durant's missed almost the last 2-3 weeks. This is wild. And listen, let's not woe is me for the Nets. They sold their soul to this. They did this.
Yep.
They sold their soul to the devil to trade for all these guys. Like,
then that's, it's kind of that a little bit of karmic justice for those fans that are anti-super team, to see it blow up, and of course just fans that don't like Kevin Durant or Kyrie. And that's the other. I don't know that a script writer could have come up with a more naturally dislikable group than what Brooklyn managed to do. And then they reap what you sow. Yeah, it's like you said. It reminds me of the old the old adage, the old folk tale about the woman who nursed a venomous snake back to health, and then when it was finally healthy, it bites her. And of course, in that folk tale, a snake can talk, but essentially, it's like, well, yeah, what did you expect? What?
Yeah, you saw this coming a million miles away. Like,
lots of people less intelligent or with a lot less money than you saw this coming, and not to mention it's happened 3 or 4 times. Like,
I was
there are
talking to
plenty of
people tonight,
stops
like,
along the way. Go ahead.
You're talking Kyrie with the Cavs, LeBron left, Kyrie with the Celtics. Like, he does it. This is who he is.
It's who he is, and let's not forget, he didn't leave Boston fans feeling very lovingly towards him.
They were so excited about him being a part of that team, and what did they do with him? Nothing.
Well, and he kind of left them hanging too, right? I know it was over some contract stuff, but I mean, and how smart were they? I mean, if Kyrie could commit to being that team player, the three-headed monster
Oh, here we go. Technical difficulties, America.
Brown and Tatum. Sorry about that. We'll
Hey, we're
keep the stream
back.
short today. Yeah, we'll try to keep it short today and make up for it next week. We're definitely making up for it next week. Might as well take the time now to mention that we
Yeah,
are going to
this
be
is on
going
me. This
extra
is
long.
on me wanting this on a Friday. I had to move it to a Friday. I had some personal stuff going on. Like, this is on me.
Oh no, that's okay. It's internet issues happen, but or whatever's going on. But yeah, I did want to point out that we will be going long next Thursday, regardless, because of the trade deadline. So
Trade deadline, folks.
yeah, we'll be hyped up for that. But yeah, back to the Kyrie thing, because I do want to maybe we'll just pivot back, because the little break there kind of I lost my train of thought, but we would go back to some of the other options for trading for Kyrie. So we've got what, Dallas, Miami, and LA. So
LA and it's I don't know how the fits get goofy, Kev. Like, so the Lakers do it from the Lakers' perspective. Absolutely, you take it, but you're talking 2 firsts and Russell. Doesn't make sense, right? Like Kevin, because then your next trade, Kevin Durant wants out. Like,
absolutely, he's
you
going to be
sold your
gone.
soul for 3 guys that in Harden, KD, and Kyrie that never won you anything. Phoenix, you discussed. It's interesting. Don't hate it. Don't hate it. Dallas to me makes no sense.
God,
Ball dominant. You got ball dominant Luka, who is way better. Like, there's no questions asked. Luka's a better player than Kyrie. You're gonna bring ball dominant Kyrie in. Like, you're gonna put him on the left and right wing and just isolate the whole thing.
Yeah, it's basically, each of you takes turns. Here it's your turn to take the ball up and go and ISO. I think it would be bad. Yeah,
That one's
not.
weird to me.
Yep. And I don't know what. Again, back to the return. What does Dallas
Yeah, what do
give
you?
Brooklyn?
That's the thing. Like, what does? And I don't. Who know? I don't know. Who knows if Brooklyn even has an answer? Like, what do they want out of this? This was so unexpected. Also, man, if you're Brooklyn, do you just ride it out and say screw it? Like, we'll try to re-sign you, but we're also fourth in the league, and KD's been gone for 3 weeks on the fourth in the East, not in the league. Like, do you just ride it? They outrode KD this summer.
There's that. We haven't talked about it yet, but there is that option of, and that's why I said what I said previously, where there, as of this time, there is no indication that Kyrie is going to sit out the rest of the season.
Yep.
So if that could definitely be a fear if you're Brooklyn, but if he plays, do you just pull your own? It's not essentially pulling a Toronto because the guy's on your team, but do you just commit to say, all right, well, this is our run. Let's go get some veterans. Let's not overspend here.
Let's see what it is.
But yeah, let's go get one then. Let's at least make sure we get one out of this. And then I guess you're gone in the offseason.
We are frozen, folks. Lost him.
It's inconceivable to think that Brooklyn could draw a couple. Yikes.
Big yikes. There, we're back.
And we're back. Sorry about that. Yeah, we'll probably only try to go another 10 or 15 minutes just because it can't be it's difficult to work through. Certainly, it can't be easy listening either. So
apologies. This again, Kev, this is my fault. This is on me.
It's all good. It's all good. Stuff happens. So we were, essentially, Miami, when I think of that, you mentioned them as a name. At least with Miami, I imagine Kyle Lowry's part of that trade.
Yeah. he doesn't fit that culture though? You know, that Spoelstra, that Jimmy Butler, that blue
No.
collar. He doesn't fit that at all. You know.
Yeah, none whatsoever. Yeah,
It's
absolutely not.
interesting. It's interesting.
I think and that takes us back to where we started. I think it has to be a 3-team deal that
Yeah,
involves the
it's
Lakers.
just. Yeah, I think the Lakers. The Lakers, from their perspective, absolutely want to be involved in this. The question is, how do they get involved and how does it make it work? And it's going to come down to people that are paid more than me and you, but
Exactly. And
because
that'll be
somebody's enticed by Russ and those 2 picks. The question is, who is it? And it's not Brooklyn.
yeah,
Like
it's
they
not
maybe
that.
they
Yep.
take the picks, but they don't want Russ.
And moving Russ, I do think is difficult because in
Money.
any other year, I might be more willing to concede the fact that some of these bad teams would take Russ for the tickets that he would sell and the extra games that he
Yeah.
might win them. However, nobody who's bad wants to win games this year.
Mm-mm.
There's Wemby, there's
Mm-mm.
Scoot. Like, there's no incentive to take on Russell and
Yeah.
have him drag you out of the
Mhm.
lottery because he
Yeah.
just plays too hard.
And
Uh,
that bottom is drug itself out. Like the bottom is now separated itself essentially by 5 games at minimum. You got 4 teams in that Wemby watch in that realm, and none of them are taking him. Unless they're just buying him out or benching him and saying you ain't playing, man. Like none of them are risking their lottery odds. You've got 13 to 15 wins between 4 teams. Like they've separated themselves as the worst of the worst.
Yep, they're finally we are finally starting to get a little
Yep.
bit of clarity when it comes to
And
that
we
part.
got some. Finally, we've got some ideas down there.
But this one's tough. I mean, we'll keep an eye on it as it stands right now. A lot of this is fresh, so I look forward to having the week to mull on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna start. I've really been wanting to uh, experiment with some Twitter Spaces or get on AMP and do some of those. Get some callers on and talk a little shop. So I'll be listening there to try to hear some more possibilities with Kyrie. But we'd love to
Yep.
hear what thoughts you all have in the
Mm-hmm.
comments. Let us know what trade package you would work with. And of course, as more trades come up, hit us up on Twitter. Let us know some things that you're seeing, some stuff that you're interested in, what your wish list is. We got still big
Mm-hmm.
names out there. Oganobi is in the mix, still being rumored to be wanting out. I don't know that anyone's going to
Yep.
meet that. That's another asking price I don't think can be
A
met.
team
And
that should probably sell.
definitely a team that should sell. I think there'll be other players they'll be looking to move, but I agree with that 100%. I think
Mm-hmm.
Chicago should be looking to sell. I think now it's weird to hear me say it after all of these weeks, but I think the Pacers don't sell now that you finally have
Yeah, they signed
Miles
Miles.
Turner.
Like that
Yes.
one's man. Tyrese being out hurt them. Man, it messed them up.
Really messed the whole thing up.
We're
Yeah, but
one
at
and
this
nine in the
point,
10 games he was out. Like that's tough.
yeah, and it's weird because by conversely, I will say by no means do I think they should be buyers at the deadline. I think that if anything, like they should move off of if they have some expiring contracts that they think hold
Yep.
value, try to get some assets for that. Otherwise, I would hold firm because these guys have a lot of young depth still. Poor
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Smith has found himself he's in a bit of a Groundhog's Day situation now. He lost his starting spot and he's buried in Carlisle's bench. Chris Duarte, similar situation, but these are guys with tons of potential.
Mm-hmm.
It's a team that could go far, and I'm gonna just go ahead and take a second now that
We're gonna lead into Tyrese Halliburton being an all-star, Kev, and how
Woo.
did he handle it on Twitter?
Oh, with the utmost grace.
Utmost respect.
A lot of people he would like to thank. I believe
Number
Wally's.
one is Wally Zerbiak.
We told you, Wally. Oh my goodness, no.
We had to look this up pre-show to make like you're like, is this real? And I said, hold on, let me look, Kev.
Yeah, because Twitter.
It's real.
It's the Wild West out there. You gotta check your facts. You gotta
And you know what, man? Like,
verify.
I get being respect, whatever. I am all about it. Like, you know what? It's his own teammate flipping somebody off. Like, I'm about it. Like, you know what? The way, and we talked about it a few episodes ago, like the way Wally talked about him was so degrading. Like,
Mhm.
just, like it was awful. And I'm about it. Do you, Tyrese? Do you?
I agree. I think anyone who has dealt with, we'll call them a bully for lack of a better term, but I think anyone who's been degraded like that, or really just anyone who likes to root for an underdog, I think a lot of people celebrated Tyrese in this moment, being just
Yeah.
called out for no reason, just again by some, I call him some guy, but yeah, by a former NBA player, but someone who essentially they're either A, Wally's kind of a jerk, or B, he was doing that for clicks and for views.
Yeah.
He was being hyper.
And it's just, I don't know, man. Acting like that's not okay.
Symbolic, and he kind of got served. He got what was coming to him. So in that sense, yeah, hey there. Okay, so we are back.
We're back. All right, let's talk about 3 generations of. I just got
Yes.
I heard you, and it all came in like 2 seconds. All right, so we're talking 3 generations of Pacers All Stars, 2 that were traded for each other.
Yep. It just makes my Pacers heart happy to see all 3 of those guys make it.
Kevin's. Oh wow! I just popped my headset out.
I am a lifetime Pacers fan. There we go. You can see it.
I
It's
just
part of
popped.
my.
Kevin, like, you're happy with this trade, right?
Yes, 100%.
Like,
The getting Halliburton for
yeah,
Sabonis.
100%, right? Like, it's the one trade. Like, they're both on the All Star team this year. We are having some technical difficulties tonight, folks. We apologize for this. I heard a yes, Kev.
Yeah, so I think with that, I do apologize. I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up because it's
We
just
are, yeah, like, no, man, we are
it's so
struggling.
inconsistent with the internet, and I just feel bad. So we'll save some of this
We'll
for our
save it.
next
Okay, now I
one.
can get this. You are okay with the trade, right?
Yes, I'm good with the trade. It was a
Yeah.
win-win in my book. One of the few ones in league history, but I'm okay with all the trades. If to be very quick, they traded Paul George for 2 All-Stars, and then
Yes.
they
Yes, they did.
were able to get good assets out. They're still cashing in off of Oladipo via the trade for Levert and then
Yep.
trading Levert. So that's still yet to see what that is. But then out of Sabonis, you get another All-Star in return, and Buddy Hield. Let's not forget about that.
Yep. Mr. Flip him off. Flip you off,
Exactly.
Wally. Oh, we lost him again, folks. It's a good picture, though.
Oh, you did.
There we
There
go.
we go. So we'll end with this. Here are your all-star reserves. That was 2021. Darn it. I had 2023 pulled up. I pulled up the wrong one.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So your All Star reserves, Kev. We'll do this quick. Is there any questions you got? In the East, it's Bam, Jalen Brown, DeMar DeRozan, Joel Embiid, Halliburton, Holiday, Drew Holiday, Julius Randle. In the West, it's Paul George, Shai, Jaren Jackson Jr., Damian Lillard, Lauri Markkanen, his first ever, Ja, and Domantas Sabonis. Do you have any arguments, questions, debates?
I don't. The two big ones I've seen were Anthony Davis and James Harden. I think Anthony
Yeah.
Davis is an obvious. I think it's obvious with the games he's missed that I'm
Uh-huh.
okay with that, him not being on the All-Star team. What do you think? Were there any big snubs for you?
I think so. I'm gonna top off to yours. Like the argument with Anthony Davis is the same argument I had with Zion last week. Is they
Yep.
haven't played enough. Like Zion's missed just as many. And he's not missed just as many, but Zion's missed like 12 straight games, so it's not that many less than Anthony Davis. To
Agreed.
be like that one's odd to me. I think looking at the East, we talked about the starters. That's the net starters, which is now wild. Drew Holiday is an interesting one to me.
Yeah.
And I don't have a guy right off the top of my head. I think that's interesting. Very out of left field, right?
I think it's one that, not many expected. I don't think I'm not against it.
Yeah,
I have
let me say this. I agree. I'm not anti Drew Holiday. I think he's fantastic. It's odd, right? Is that right? Is that the best way to put it?
I believe I don't see him winning like the popular fan vote, and I think this was more of an indication of the league insiders making it known, making their pick known.
Yeah.
And there is some of that benefit of just playing with Giannis. Obviously, a lot of people are going to have the ability to eat, and when you're a guy who's passing to someone who can score 50 on any night, you're going to get a lot of assists too.
Yeah.
But
Well, as somebody that watched them live, I can tell you it doesn't happen all the time.
that is fair, but I think this big thing with Harden, it just goes to show that that style of basketball isn't as appreciated in the modern game. And you might not go to the All-Star game shooting 15 free throws a night anymore unless you are a center who's earning those free throws and not just a guy who's learned how to creatively hook your own elbow into a defender to make it look like he fouled you.
What are your thoughts on somebody like DeMar DeRozan making the All-Star game on a team that's awful? It's a play-in team.
As a Chicago Cubs fan who once got to witness, or at least was regaled the tales, because I was too young, of Andre Dawson winning the MVP for the last place Chicago Cubs, I have a soft spot in my heart for things like this, where it's like, hey, not his fault they stink. Like he's not the one who not the one who sold the farm for the ghost of Nikola Vucevic.
You're absolutely correct. He did not sell out his soul. You're right. Or Lonzo Ball is eternally bad knee.
Yeah, speaking of things that are haunted, speaking of ghosts, like have you seen that report? No one knows.
No one knows
why his knee still hurts.
How is that
does
possible?
It hurt?
How is that possible
that
nobody knows? Like that's wild.
Could be phantom pain.
Let's go to the West. I've got one thing in the West. I've got a guy that I'm not arguing is better than any of these people. It's just a name. Does De'Aaron Fox deserve to be in consideration over there?
Yes.
And I look at this list and I don't have anybody I'd put him above. Just a name. You know what I mean?
Yep. When I look at these are the situations, and I am not advocating for this because I don't think I would go that route, but I have made the argument before that, I'd like to see the playoffs get rid of the conference structure and just put the best teams in.
Because De'Aaron Fox goes into the East, slots right in.
And that's you're picking up what I'm laying down. Like these are one of those situations where it's like De'Aaron Fox absolutely is an all-star in the East.
De'Aaron Fox is above, he's above Drew Holiday. It's no question.
Absolutely. Yep. That's exactly where my head went. Boom. Those
Randle,
two guys we just talked about.
Yep. And that's because that West, that's a list. It's Paul George, absolutely. Shai is having is in a stellar year. Jaren
Oh yeah.
Jackson's a defensive player of the year type guy. Like he's an argument maybe, but I don't think you can say it. Damian, no. Laurie's having a stellar year. Ja's having a stellar year. Then it's DeMontis. You're going to put him over his own teammate?
Yeah, yeah, you're not gonna put him over DeMontis, a guy, yeah, who's a multi-time all-star himself at this
Yep.
point.
So that's like it's just like you said that when you factor in the conferences, then it gets goofy.
It does, which is where it is kind of a bummer, and I don't know. That's the thing. We have to acknowledge this. I acknowledge it every year around March when we start talking about the bubble that you could put 84 teams. That math doesn't track, but you know what I'm saying.
Oh, basic math is
If you
hard,
put
but it's
if you
okay.
put half if you put half of the NCAA in, we're still gonna have talks about, oh, these guys got
Yeah,
snubbed. They
who
should
got
have been.
snubbed? Who
It
should have
doesn't matter.
won? Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Invite as many people as you want. Someone's going to be upset they didn't
Yep.
get a ticket to the dance. It's part of
Yep.
the game, and it is unfortunate, but it's harder to unseat, a sitting all-star, right? And that's you've got guys that
Correct.
have been
Yes.
there before, and then I do think they do try to look at it with some balance. So, you mentioned Jaren Jackson Jr. It's conceivable to argue I'd put Darren Fox in there over him, but then you're looking
Mm-hmm.
at, well, are we gonna have 7 reserve guards and only 2 bigs in the race? So it's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
My least favorite part. These are times where I don't mind seeing some of the injured all stars get their accolades because they're not going to play, and then that means someone else might
Yeah,
might
yeah.
get the might get the little consolation, like the fill-in role. They might
The
get the
flip it,
Snoop
yeah.
Huntley
The
call,
slide in,
like,
like
hey, you can
you're
you
an
threw
all
2
star.
touchdowns, you're a Pro Bowler, get in here.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll see Darren Fox. I would love to see it, but I think if there was anybody who earned the status of snubbed when it comes to the All Stars, I think it would
I
be Darren
think
Fox.
he's the one. Like, right? We're both in agreement. He's the one
Yeah.
where there's a legit argument, and I don't know what or who the replacement is, but he absolutely is the guy. You're talking the Kings are third in the West right now, man. Let's pull up his stats here. De'Aaron Fox is averaging 24.3 points a game, 6 assists a game.
There we go. Welcome back
To the bounce.
Hey, so we were talking about the third place Kings catching everybody off guard.
De'Aaron
Except
Fox is averaging
us.
24.3 points a game, 6 assists a game, 4 rebounds. Like he's averaging 6 more points a game than DeMontis. DeMontis averages 7.1 assists a game. I did not know that's good for him. 12.4. So like, man, that's tough. That's tough, dude. It's tough to, man, to hold him out.
It is tough, but you brought it, and that's the other point with Sabonis. That's why he can't be the one that gets shelved, because it's not only is he a double-double on the glass and scoring, but he's one of the best passers out of the post. I mean, obviously,
he's leading the team.
There's Jokic, but
he leads the Kings in assists.
yeah,
7.1 a game.
that apple did not fall far from the tree.
No,
All right, that old Sabonis tree. He's got a lot of his dear old dad's ball
18,
skills.
12, and 7, man. That's, like you can't bump him out at all. No way.
Yeah, so I would love to see it, and I look out for the Kings, man. I think we were talking about them.
Bro. They're sneaky good.
I am back to. I think the last time we discussed this, honestly, I said the Kings are a team that I think I had them capping out at a team I wouldn't want to play in the first round. At this point, I think they've graduated to a team that I think could win a series in the first round, depending on the. There are a lot of unhealthy teams in the West, a lot of question marks in the West. They could draw Pelicans with an injured Zion or an injured BI, and
currently the
give me a
Pelicans
healthy Kings.
The Pelicans are on a 10-game losing streak. They are the 10 seed in the West right now. They went from us talking about them 2-3 weeks ago as the best, and that was about a month ago, to nothing. The top of the West is started to take off and get away from the rest, separate themselves. The Nugs with 16 losses, Grizz with 20, and then the Kings with 21. Then your fourth place teams, this is a wild statement, but it's true. The Mavericks are number 4 in the West. And that's a team we've talked about doesn't have enough outside of one guy. So the top 3 have started to separate themselves, that's interesting. Did not see that coming.
Yeah, the Luka and the Funky Bunch in the 4 seed was not on my NBA bingo card as of a couple weeks ago, at least. But yeah, I think, and because of that, I really think this Kings team is a team. Maybe they'll make another trade deadline move. I don't know. I've heard some small. I haven't heard any kind of blockbuster moves involving them. It's all been kind of small stuff.
What could the King? What would you want if you're the Kings? That's a good question. You've got Fox, you've got Sabonis, you've got Herter, Harrison Barnes.
Would they maybe be someone in the one of the? So I'm thinking about role players that need or want to be moved that add some depth. So I'm thinking about like a Jay Crowder. I'm thinking about a Jared Vanderbilt.
The Jay Crowder is the lingering piece of where is he going to end up as the Suns they could really use him. They botched that whole situation. He's not that good though. So it's not act like he's going to change their fortunes.
No, but I think it is worth noting that they also have ruined the DeAndre Ayton situation, and I think
they've now
something's going on there.
They've botched the last 6 months of their franchise, and who knows how much longer. Also, I've been playing on De'Aaron Booker. That's not D-Book. I said De'Aaron Booker. That's not correct. I got you frozen again, Kev. D-Book.
Got frozen once again. There we go.
There we go. Devin Booker. I said De'Aaron Booker because I'm like lost my mind tonight. It's Devin Booker, just like our internet. We've lost it all. It's gonna be a wild time here. We've got a week, and Kev, let's put this one out there. Do you think Kyrie Irving gets traded or not? Trade deadline's next Thursday. We'll have a big episode next Thursday. What do you think?
Yeah, I am going to say yes, he gets traded. What do you think?
Because I say no. So this is in. Well, this will be fun to follow. It's interesting. I don't think they'll do it. I think they'll just dig their heels in and say, "Let's ride."
Okay, that was going to be my follow-up. I was like, are you buying into the Wob conspiracy, or do you think they're just going to say, screw it, let's try to win one title this year?
Oh, man. Ooh. I don't think the Wob conspiracy is very far off. However, man, you got 5 days to put together. This isn't me and you getting traded. This is a superstar. Yeah. It's a starter and all-star team getting traded. I don't see the problem being is I don't see any type of deal that they make where Kevin Durant doesn't turn around and go, "What the hell is going on? Get me out of here."
And I would also say, what kind of negotiation could they have in the next 6 days that they haven't been trying for the last 6 months? Like, that's where I think, well, no, they're not going to. And Joe Tsai stood his ground with Kevin Durant, and
they won. Yeah. Well, they had to lose the coach in the process, but.
Right. But I do think that at this point, and it's easy for me to say it, I'm not the one spending the money, but I believe that if I were the one spending the money, I would say, listen, man, you're not driving anymore. You know, I appreciate what you've done for us, but no, you've missed.
He's been a problem for 2 years now.
Yeah, man. You've missed a lot more time than you needed to. And I can respect you wanting to be your own person and you have your own set of beliefs or whatever, but that directly is going against what we're trying to do here. So I wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors, but we're moving forward. So that's my whole thing. I think I will tell you that if there's one possibility out of the 3 that we can rule out, the one I will rule out is the contract extension. I don't disagree with Rob that could be the ploy, but I think the Nets have had enough, and I don't think they're going to let.
I would agree. I just think it's even if they just ride it and just be like, screw it, let's play this season out, let's go, and see what happens. Like I agree with you. I don't see it's such a weird deal. I don't see anybody because just because he wants to trade now doesn't make a Los Angeles Lakers 2 first-round picks in the next 5 years any more enticing. Like it doesn't fix like nothing.
Right, and just because he's a multimillionaire doesn't mean he wants to forego the remainder of his current contract. So we have
Correct. Yes.
so he would have to be willing to just say, "I'm done making money this year." If that's the route he chooses. If he says, "I'm taking my ball and going home," which the only reason I think he might do it is because uh, Isaiah Thomas. I I I think Kyrie Irving potentially may decide to sit out if he fears that an injury could cause him a big money contract in
Mm-hmm.
free agency.
Yep.
Um, so there is that whole thing. And that's what makes me lean towards the Nets will take a bad deal over potentially no deal. But I don't think your option is outside the realm of possibility because
Mm-hmm.
I could see the Nets saying we're going to run with it, and if you decide not to play, you're just not going to get paid. But
Yeah.
I
I
genuinely think he could take that.
Yeah, I think from the Nets perspective, and it's the reality. Like they've got KD, they've got a better player, and how do you appease him? Like how do you make sure he doesn't turn around and go, "I want out of here too," type
And say what
deal?
you want about
Man,
him, we make fun of his burner accounts, but for the most part, the dude seems to be pretty professional. He's done
outside of the last
some
summer deal,
things.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but
and yeah, absolutely. And this whole situation the last couple of years has turned into a nightmare scenario for the Nets. They traded a solid young core to get James Harden, to get Kyrie, and then they signed Durant. And this has gone nowhere. They've done nothing. They've won nothing. They've accomplished zero across the board with a superstar core, and it's just completely imploded in their face.
yeah, it's one will go down as one of the all-time blunders and what ifs, I
Yep.
think,
Mm-hmm.
right up there. What if wise, it'll go right up there with Durant and Harden's other what if down in
Yeah,
Oklahoma.
exactly.
But
Yep.
yeah, it'll be interesting because 40 years from now, this team may be forgotten,
Oh,
because
completely forgotten. Yeah.
there's nothing that they will have accomplished, and everything about Kyrie and Kevin Durant and maybe even James Harden's, because even with James Harden's career, his Houston days are far more memorable than anything that's happened since,
And
unless you
yeah,
enjoy, unless you like swimming in the ocean of James Harden's despair, in which case you've loved the last couple of years. But
yeah. Let's talk.
um,
Let's go down that rabbit hole for a second here. So you casually mentioned the Oklahoma City version of this team, the young guns of KD, Russ, and Harden when they were kids, and now there's a lot of history after the fact. There's a lot of MVPs. There's a lot of accolades. There's only one title. It's KD with the Golden State Warriors. Did you see this trio going down this path and not like their accolades are really not that they're nothing.
outside of the personal stuff, yeah.
Yeah, there's personal like Russ and Harden got MVPs.
Yeah, and
Did
then Russ with the triple double stuff,
yeah,
that stuff's pretty historic. But yeah,
when the
I
game
didn't
when the biggest thing that matters, Kev, is winning titles and winning games.
yeah.
Man.
I didn't see it coming at the time, but now with the benefit of that hindsight, it was telegraphed pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
When you come to think about it, it's not that the Thunder didn't want James Harden there. He believed, and he was right. He bet on himself, and he was right that he deserved
Yep.
more money, that he was a franchise player. But no disrespect there whatsoever. But it wasn't as
Mm-hmm.
if they didn't want to keep him. He forced his way out essentially for more
Yep.
money and a
He,
different
he he he
opportunity. So
broke. They went to the finals against the Heat, and then that was it because he forced his
yeah.
way out.
So the writing was kind of on the wall there, right? that's been a trait of his. We
Yep.
didn't realize it at the time.
KD and Russ took OKC to the Western Conference Finals, and were they at? I think they're up 3-2 against the Warriors and lost. It wasn't 3-1, right?
3-1.
Yep.
3-1 because it was back to back. I believe it was back to back 3-1 chokes, right? The Warriors
I
came
don't
back from
remember exactly.
3-1. Yeah, either way, the Warriors have been on both sides of the
Yeah,
3-1
and
thing. I
but
know that.
then so KD goes to the Warriors in a really weird salary cap snafu. That listen, I don't crap on the Warriors for it because guess what? They played the game. They were able to make him work. They got one of the best players in the league. So KD's only title comes with the Warriors, who, if I say Warriors to any casual fan, they think Steph, Clay, Draymond, and people like Andre Iguodala,
Andrew
Sean
Diaga,
Livingston.
Sean
Like,
Livingston, yeah.
so it's wild when you really start to think historical context. Like, they didn't win anything.
Not a big
Like,
impact on the game, right? Like
yeah,
the
like
kind of guys, if they don't stick around and do announcing, won't be remembered in 20
they
years,
won't.
30
They will
years.
not. And you want to really throw, like, you can throw Kyrie into the same boat. Like, LeBron's won titles he got them with the Heat, he got it with Cleveland, and he got one with the Lakers, if you consider the bubble, which I don't, but you know what, is what it is. Kyrie's got nothing without him.
Yeah, and it's with him. So although people will certainly remember that he was there, like, we have to be clear, Kyrie had a big hand in that. But it's
Hit a
gonna
major
always be
shot to beat the
tied.
Warriors, but it's going to be tied
It's be
to
tied to LeBron.
LeBron.
It won't ever be the story of the first round pick Kyrie Irving. It'll always be. Remember when LeBron came back and gave one to
LeBron
his
came as
hometown?
you are an Ohio guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like how will you remember 25 years from now when you're telling your kids, your grandkids?
Yeah, it'll be the whole LeBron. It'll be more focused on LeBron. Absolutely, it'll be part of his legacy, and
Yep.
that is a valid point. Yeah, when you take that, and there's still none of these guys' stories are finished, but yeah, when you look
Yep.
at it, huge disappointment as far as the conversion rate with winning and titles. But it just goes to show you how hard it is to win in this league, which
How
again
hard
was
it
what.
is to win and how dominant a very specific franchise was, because it wrecked a lot of chances. The Warriors wrecked the Thunder. So LeBron's Heat wrecked the original Thunder.
Yeah.
Then the Warriors got hot, wrecked the KD Russ Thunder. They wrecked the James Harden Chris Paul Rockets. They ruined a lot of things. Like, Kyrie gets one title with LeBron in there at Cleveland. No, like, he was he was the second best player on that team. He hit one of the biggest shots in Cleveland history. Like, there's no taking away from it, but he's done nothing since. LeBron's got a bubble title since. It's because you're talking about those three guys have done absolutely, arguably less than the young group in the league, which is forefronted by Giannis.
Yeah.
Giannis has more titles than that whole group, and the best player on those. Like, that's when you really start to dig down and think about it. Like, those are mega names, and they can do what they want and act like they want. However, you look at stable franchises and stable stuff. Number two in the East right now is the Milwaukee Bucks, who have lost. They have won 6 straight. They're 8-2 in their last 10. Chris Middleton's finally starting to play a little bit, be healthy. They've got arguably the best player in the game, who had a 54-19 2 nights ago in a comeback win. You start to pay attention, like, because you don't think about that stuff when you start to think about the nonchalant, like, just go about your business. Like, we're just talking about Drew Holiday. Is he an all-star or not? I don't know. He's also the second best player on a team that's got the third best record in the league right now, and had a 6-game losing streak when all those guys were hurt. It's tough to argue against that kind of stuff.
third best record in the East, you were saying, or
Yep.
third best record in the NBA.
Third best record in the NBA. So it's. Would you rather have Giannis or would you rather have KD and Kyrie at the same time, knowing that both of them are going to request a trade at some point?
Exactly. Yeah, you're just gonna start with Giannis, and it really that's a big perspective shifter, and that's something I think we'll look at again because I'm sure we're gonna talk about Kyrie
Yeah.
again between
Well,
in
by
time
next
for
week
next
we
Thursday.
will by next Thursday is the trade deadline, so we shall see, Kev. We shall see.
We will know. And hey, I just realized before we head on to the exit, I did realize we mentioned in the thumbnail, in the description, and even on the bottom screen. So I don't want to go the entire episode without talking about it. But this guy was in our thumbnail last week as well. Dillon Brooks is at
My
it again. We don't
oh,
have the clip, but a couple of questions, James. First take. Do you believe that Dillon Brooks intentionally hit Donovan Mitchell in the groin? And then afterwards, I guess just your general has your opinion changed on Dillon Brooks since last week? Because I think this is the third time we've had to talk
yeah,
about him for not
he
basketball reasons.
he 100,000,000% swear on my life hit.
Retweet.
He rolls over and swings an arm after. I am also, however, I am anti this. So the NBA kicked Donovan Mitchell out of the game and him out, right? Because Donovan Mitchell throws the ball at him and then swings at him. And this is hard to argue, but I disagree. Like, Donovan Mitchell should not be thrown out of the game. That is an outrageously dirty play.
Yeah.
I think Donovan Mitchell reacts exactly how anybody in the world would. Like, that's ridiculous.
He did. He said it in his post-game interview,
Yep.
and this is something I was taught growing up. You know, you have to defend yourself.
Yep.
And I agree with that. If he's going to take a shot that's that dirty, hit him with the basketball once. Maybe he'll think twice about doing it again. And I am normally anti this whole, the NBA was tougher back in my day. I miss when Bill
Like,
Laimbeer could clothesline people. But this is one where I think,
yeah.
man, back in the day, they just would have talked to that guy. And yes, Brooks, get him out of there. But Donovan Mitchell, I think, should have just been allowed to play through
Yeah,
that game
I
because
don't think
hit
there's.
anyone else in the groin and see if they just don't
Yeah.
react to it.
And I thought even like his reaction, his post-game comments, he was very like cool, calm, and collected. Like, that dude, Dillon Brooks, hits the ground, rolls, sees he's there, and then like swings. It's outrageous. And yeah, Donovan Mitchell throws the ball at him like cool, like, and gets in his face. Like, but you know what? Let's have a sense of like, oh, wait a second, like, this is like Dillon Brooks gets thrown out. Perfect. Got to go. Maybe you tee up Donovan Mitchell but you don't throw out Donovan Mitchell because I get it. The second guy always gets caught. However, like, this is such a dirty play, and like we talked, Dillon Brooks is known for it.
Exactly. That's the part too. It's not even that he has a reputation. We talked about it. He's come up multiple times already this year. There was the issue with Clay.
Yep.
There was the issue with Shannon Sharp, which at the
Yep.
time,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I stand by what I said about
we
that.
stand.
You
Yeah.
still
Yep.
no business of Shannon to say what he said to players who are playing on the court,
But
but
Dillon Brooks was in that as the forefront of that whole deal. Dillon
he's
Brooks has
involved
a
in a lot of
history
this
in
stuff.
college too. When he was at Oregon, like, it's all pointing in one direction, and it's not good. Also, I don't think I don't like for the Warriors the reputation they're starting to develop. Because last year, going to the playoffs, and then what they did, they're a fun, young, springy upstart. They're getting a little reputation, and Dillon Brooks is leading it as, what's the best way to put it? Like, arrogant, cocky.
Mm-hmm.
We're better than, like, better than you. And granted, they're number 2 in the West, but man, that kind of stuff doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. We saw it when Ja said he was fine in the West, and then they went on to lose, I think 4 or 5 straight in the West.
Yeah,
They
exactly. Yeah,
continue
we
to
talked
not
about
do
it. Yeah.
well, and there's some. it's kind of amazing that they are second in the
They're
West
under
because they
500
don't.
in the conference. They're 15
Yeah,
and 16 in conference. They're
because they're not doing
they're
great.
17 and 4 against the East, but
It,
they're 15 and 16. To for comparison sakes, the Nuggets, who are ahead of them, are 27 and 10 in the conference.
yeah,
Kings behind them 17 and 10. Like,
I hesitate to call any team a fraud, but I'm going to need to see you be above 500 in your own conference before I
yep.
can pick you to win more than one series in the playoffs. It's great. This isn't 2003, okay? So I get it. It's not the West versus the least, but
The
still, you
26
got to
and
win.
17 Western Conference 10th place team, the Pelicans, have a better conference record than the Grizzlies at
Yeah.
16 and 14.
And part of that, I think they did to themselves because they went ahead and made
Wow.
sure if they hadn't done it already, just by being the team that they were, by acting the way that they do and him saying the things that he says to get under team skins, they've guaranteed that every other Western Conference team
Has
is going to
bulletin
have
board material. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. They've circled that Memphis game. They want to set the tone. They want to send an example.
Yep.
And they've just made it really hard on themselves, and they're not sneaking up on anybody anymore.
Now,
And
Kev, here's a wild stat for you. Okay, so the top 11 teams in the West, top 11. This includes the Portland Trailblazers, who are not in the play-in game at the moment. Of all 11 teams, you just conference record only. So this is skewed because some teams have played more, some teams have played less. The Memphis Grizzlies have the worst conference record of the 11 teams in the playoff race right now. That does not include the Los Angeles Lakers, who are worse. So the top 11.
It's a fugazi.
It's Nuggets, Grizzlies, Kings, Mavericks, Clippers, Timberwolves, Suns, Jazz, Warriors, Pelicans, Trailblazers. Conference record, the Grizzlies have the worst of all 11 teams. And they're second. Now, mind you, let's give them credit. They are 17 and 4 against the East. However, against the West, they're 15 and 16.
Yeah, it's getting, and that's what I was getting at.
Give them their credit.
It's not a knock. It's not a knock to say, like it would have been 20 years ago, to say, oh, they're beating teams in the East, but those aren't the teams they're going to play for in a best of 7. So I need to see them beat some of these playoff caliber teams in the Western Conference before I'm going to start feeling like any of this is warranted.
Because if you get an accidental play-in of the Memphis Grizzlies and the Warriors, because the Warriors are 9th and they fight their way to 7, say, are you sold on the Grizzlies taking the Warriors in a 7-game series?
Not today.
Yep.
Not today. It could happen. Lots of time to be played, but lots of games to be played. But yeah, I am not yet convinced. I am convinced that Denver's legit up there. I'm not yet convinced that Memphis.
I am convinced on 2 teams in the NBA right now. 2. The Denver Nuggets and the Boston Celtics.
Yep.
Convinced on both of them. That's who I'm convinced on.
I'd love to see that in the finals. I would take it.
Oh my God. Do you see Jokic's stat line from last night, by the way? Did you see it in their win against the Warriors last night?
No, hit me with it. I was focused on Giannis's 54 piece and his 21-point comeback against the Clips.
Giannis just had a casual, sneaky 54 and 19 last night, right? So the Nikola Jokic Nuggets beat the Warriors 134-117 last night. Jokic had 22 points, 16 assists, and 14 rebounds on 13 shots.
There's a word for that. I believe it's efficient.
That is a triple-double of the utmost efficiency. That's disgusting. Mind you, that's the guy that should probably get the MVP this year and will probably not get it because they refuse to give him the triple-double of MVPs, give him 3 straight.
MVP bias. It's a real problem in the NBA. We've talked about it on this show before. We'll never
LeBron should have a couple more, and we're about to see another guy get screwed. Like, I don't want to give it to him a 3rd time in a row. Because can you name, Kev, just real quick, off the top of your head, is there anybody right off the top of your head that deserves it more than Giannis?
Jokic, you mean? Or
Jokic. Sorry,
I was going to say,
Jokic.
Jokic.
I'm just staring at the wrong. Jokic.
Giannis would be. I mean, Giannis is up there for me, but yeah, for right now, as of today, if I had a vote, it's got to be.
Gun to your head, it's Jokic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Has to be. It's crazy. Like, and he's not going to get it because the recency bias thing. It's just crazy.
It's not fair for him to win it so many times. It is
He's the
interesting, but
best.
yeah, and it sucks because I'd love to go back in time and maybe take an MVP away from Steve Nash, but we can't do that. So but
Not
at some point
allowed.
we gotta change it. We can't just continue to be like, well, it's a part of it. It's part of the game. We're just gonna not let the best guys win MVP because it's not fair. It's boring to have the same guys win it, and we need a better story. I don't like it. Give it to Jokic for me right now. But
Yeah, he's stellar, man. He's so good.
well, do we have any? Normally, we go through a much more in-depth preview of the weekend
Yeah,
games, but given our
because we're
technical
on
difficulties
Friday.
today,
We've missed tonight. Let's go. Let's see here real quick. We'll go Saturday, Sunday. I've got them up. Saturday, we got the Lakers at the Pelicans tomorrow, which is weirdly interesting because the Lakers are outside the top 10 and the Pelicans have lost 10 straight
somebody's gonna win this one.
after starting 26 and 17. That's tough. Clippers at the Knicks tomorrow night is fun. Heat at Milwaukee. Saturday's a good game.
Oh, that's a
Heat at
good one.
Milwaukee. We've also got Dallas at Golden State tomorrow. So Saturday slate is pretty good. Pretty good Saturday slate tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say I am intrigued despite it not being the best combined record on the card. That Lakers Pelicans game I think it would be a fun one to
Yeah.
watch. Also the
Yeah.
undeniable history, those, you can watch that
Yep.
game and think about what would happen if guys were still wearing their old jerseys. So that's a
Yep.
fun little
It is
walk down
really
memory lane.
it's thoroughly unimpressive how the Pelicans have fallen off the map. Zion got hurt. Even Ingram coming back hasn't fixed it, man.
I am going to potentially look like a fool here, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm not terribly worried about the Pelicans yet,
You're gonna
because
tell 10 straight losses. You're not worried about them.
I'm worried, but I'm not terribly worried.
Oh,
They're missing their
if that whole
2
team
best
there.
players. They like that's all I'm saying is Zion and BI have not played a lot together, and they didn't play hardly any time together during this bad stretch. And I get it. It's 10 in a row, but if you were forced to say this to your team, Coach James, you would say, hey, it's just 10 games out of the season. It sucks that they all
Yeah,
happen in a row,
yeah.
but it's just 10 games out of the 82. All right. So maybe we'll turn. But no, what I'm saying, the talent is there on the court with the Pelicans. It's the
100%. There's
same
no
team
question.
that was atop this conference at one point without Brandon Ingram, without their best
The
player.
question is, can they? Because the problem is Zion has got a hamstring injury, if I'm correct. And Zion, he's a big dude. He's explosive. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of on joints. Like, Zion played one game in January. And he missed all of last year. Should we be worried about Zion?
You're concerned about the hamstring, right? That the fact that when you were saying pressure, not like the David Bowie Queen version.
No, I
we're
like the
talking
David.
about pressure on joints and
Yes, on
stuff.
joints. Like, Ingram's back finally. They were winning with Zion without Ingram. The script is flipped. Zion hasn't played. He's played one game in January, and he missed all of last season. Are you worried that Zion's absence is going to cost this team?
It's possible. I tell you what, it's making it harder and harder for me to stand on my case that Brandon Ingram's the best team in New Orleans, or best player in New Orleans.
Player, yeah, you've stood on that, and now he's only been back for a couple games. It hasn't been much, so let's not.
Yeah, we got to give him some time to get get fully healed. But that is why I'm still holding on hope that the Pelicans. Now, I'm not expecting them to get anywhere near the top of the conference again at this point, but I think this is still potentially a 5 or 6 seed, at least a play-in team, because I do think there's still an opportunity if they get healthy. Now that's the if. If you're right, and if Zion continues to miss more time, and Brandon Ingram's not 100% getting back into it, then they might not have enough time left to turn it around. But the Pelicans could be in that. This could be the Pelicans, like, their bubble season. Do you remember the Phoenix
Yeah.
Suns,
Yep.
the
Turned it
bubble
on.
year?
Yep.
And they turned, like, we kind of thought there might be something there, but we weren't really sure. And then they win every game in the
Yep.
bubble. And then, oh wow, then the next year. So it was like they turned it on late, they found it, and then boom, that next year they catapulted right
Yep.
into that team that was ready to take the next step. This might be that year for the Pelicans. Maybe I was wrong by a year with them.
Yeah,
I would
injuries
love to
have
have seen,
really slowed this
yeah,
down. Yep.
the injury part is what makes it frustrating, and I'm certain it's more frustrating for Pelicans fans and certainly for their two stars. But I I really like the way this team is put together when they have all their pieces. So hold on to hope, New Orleans fans. But what else we got? Was there anything on the Sunday slate that caught your eye before we bid farewell?
Sunday is a little disappointing. The 4 games I had the Cavs at the Pacers, Philly at New York, Denver at Minnesota, and then Sunday night at Sacramento at New Orleans. So the Saturday slate's quite a bit better than the Sunday slate.
Oh, see that. If New Orleans was healthy, that Sacramento New Orleans game would be
Yeah,
just
that. I agree. That's a banger of a closeout on Sunday. The problem is Zion is still out, and there's no update on his hamstring. So
Kings all day, baby.
I do love that Cleveland Pacers game's fun with Halliburton being back. Like I don't think the Pacers. It's at Indianapolis. I don't think the Pacers can win it, but it is fun.
No, it should be. That should be an entertaining game. It is nice to see what very much looks like parts the future of the division. Giannis is not old by any means, but I do
Nope.
think that the Cavs and Pacers are I mean, it's this entire division. I was just about to say, oh, the Cavs and Pacers are the teams with the bright future. Hello, did the Detroit Pistons have entered the chat?
Yeah.
Everybody that
Speaking
doesn't
of,
play in Chicago.
let's go Wemby watch real quick. Let's not pass up an opportunity to talk the bottom 4 in the league.
Yes.
So, Kev, all right, well, you led me into it. The bottom 4 in the league right now, the Houston Rockets have 13 wins, along with the Detroit Pistons, who have one more loss. So technically, I assume they are ahead. And then the Spurs have 14 wins, and the Hornets have 15 wins, and they are 5 games above the worst teams after that. So my pick of the Detroit Pistons is alive and well in the Wemby watch. So you led into it. The Charlotte Hornets need to stop winning games. Like they are 4-6 in their last 10. Like let's calm it down. You're no good. Like get
Can't
out
do
of here.
anything right.
Yep.
Sorry, guys. Speaking of, I want to talk about your boys here for a second. Pardon me, I've hit the mic. And as it pertains to the Wemby watch, because there's a bit of a mixed bag situation going on with Bogdanovich, because the rumor has it the Pistons
I
plan
saw
on
this.
keeping him, and that they are
Mm-hmm.
very encouraging to him that they believe they will be a team that's in contention next year.
Like good
Because
enough, like playoff team, get a
they
draft pick, aka get Wemby.
got Wemby, you got
He's
Cunningham
averaging
coming back, you
20
got
some points a
Ivy,
game.
which takes me to the negative part of my mixed feelings.
Uh-huh.
Is having Bogey playing this season, is it going to do enough to hurt the Pistons in the long run and cost them Wemby?
It hasn't yet, but I think
True.
he is averaging 21.4 points a game. Oh man, let's get the standings back up. Where was that? There's my tab. I mean, they're 2-8 in their last 10. So, but
yeah, it's working.
Because I saw the same thing. Like they want to keep him because they think next year they're going to be good, and they love his veteran leadership.
And he can fill it too.
He can fill
bad.
He's not a bad player. The problem is, will he accidentally win you one and cost you 15% on a lottery ball?
Yeah, it's tough. So at what point do you shut your veteran down or
Yep.
start to manage his load? Wow, there had to be a better way for me to phrase that, but we're just gonna move right past it. So
Yeah.
the Pistons, it's an interesting. I will say this though, it is incredibly enticing to think about what could happen should they get Victor with the young talent. I've already dropped these names. I'm gonna drop them again for you though, out there, those of you listening. Cade Cunningham,
Jaden
Jaden
Ivey,
Ivey, and then I mean, there's still other depth here to this squad that
Sadiq
they could look at. Like, what are
Bey,
we looking at
Dylan
with Sadiq?
Hayes, Jalen Duran. I always forget Kevin Knox is on that team. Huh. That's wild.
Such a young team. Yeah, but yeah, now I don't know if it's a deep contending playoff team, but I'm not ruling it out. We've seen
Yeah.
enough young teams in recent memory. I think people thought Phoenix was ahead of schedule. We just talked about them. We've talked about
Mm-hmm.
Memphis. This, I think the way that basketball is played with AAU and travel ball and stuff happening for the kids that are this talented, it happens at such a young age. Big programs of young guys to get it figured out and start playing winning basketball. I don't think it's it used to take years, to build a franchise up. And so I don't think the Pistons are crazy is all I'm trying to get at. I don't think they're crazy for thinking we could be in the mix next year with the right pieces. James,
Playoff
what do
team,
you think?
absolutely. Playoff team, absolutely. And then you're talking about such young talent with Cunningham coming back off of his injury. You would add, if you could add a guy like Victor, or even Scoot doesn't really fit this team, right? Like, because it's
Yeah.
Jaden Ivey's spot.
Yeah,
They're Wimby or bust.
they might be Wemby or Trey. I don't know. There's probably, and that's where I think,
And I think
and we will
you take
start to
Scoot
dive.
and figure it out. Yeah, like you're absolutely. I mean, they are absolute bounce back candidate yesterday with Cunningham being hurt.
Yeah, 100%. And
No matter, like, he's the number one. Doesn't matter. Like, yeah, you get Wimby. Yeah, he's big time, but Cunningham's the number one. Like, if he comes back,
it could be a really nice time to be a Pistons fan. So we'll keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on the Wemby watch and see if anyone else gets added to the mix. I don't think so. I think we've pretty much blocked out these 4 teams, but
I don't. I think
you
it's too. I
just
think it's
never
too
know.
late. Sorry, Jazz. You've played your way out.
Better, yeah. Apparently, they're still selling at the deadline though, which takes
Too
me
too little, too late, bud.
to yep, too little, too late. Which takes me to, I guess it's probably time to say goodbye. It's getting a little
It
late
is
over
late
here
on a
on the
Friday
East
night. Kev,
Coast.
I thank you for being willing to maneuver this week. I had some stuff come up and we had to move this, so I appreciate you.
Of course. Thank you. Not a problem, brother. And we thank you, those of you watching at home. I see you up there. I appreciate you for hanging in with us. I know we had a little bit of difficulty technically speaking this week, so I greatly appreciate that. We will be here for you next week at our usual time. Actually,
Yep, we'll be
I
back next
I stand
Thursday.
corrected. We will definitely be back next Thursday, but
Could
there
be
is a
earlier.
good chance we will start earlier because we've gotten approval to do at least we've gotten approval to do a 2-hour special if that's what we want to do. So
We will be
we will be
around.
here. We're gonna be a minute. We're gonna be around for a minute. So if you are interested, be sure to subscribe with your notifications turned on. You'll get notified 30 and 10 minutes before the show, as well as all of our other programs on Stadium Rant. We've got Necessary Roughness on Tuesdays. We've got Rumbles of Red. We've got another damn fantasy podcast. We've got gritty gamblers. Easy for me to say, pal. And yeah, so all of that, all of that and more, not to mention all of the podcasts on the Stadium Rant Podcast Network. You can check all of those find it Stadium Rant. That's it. That's my plug. That's my pitch. Find me on Twitter at Kev Nevick. You can find James. James, where can they find you, sir?
Schmitz06 at Twitter. You can also follow me and just watch me cry about every single Titans decision they make. Kev, something I saw today. NFL related. I always like to swing an NFL in there. We're not going to talk about how Jeff Saturday's about to be your next head coach. I'm not going to bring that up. Two teams, Kev, have inquired about the number 1 pick, trading with the Bears. Second team is a big question mark. Nobody knows who it is. The other team is the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, I was like, which one? Is it us or you?
I did it again. I popped this out again. I don't like it.
Tennessee Titans, man. I've done
that 3 times now. I've popped that cord out 3 times now.
Well, at least you hit the quota for the joke, rule of 3. So otherwise,
I don't like it. I don't like us trading up. We have too many problems. Like I would love Stroud or Bryce Young, but there's way too many problems on that team to give that kid draft capital up. Just so you know what's going on in the South right now.
I agree with you. I feel I might be on a small island when it comes to Colts fans, but I think there's got to be someone we can draft a couple spots later. Let's not.
Will Levis.
Oh, and on that happy note, I am going to get out of here and go watch Will Levis tape because I gotta convince myself to like that pick when it inevitably happens. But thank you all again so much for watching. Thank you for
dealing with us tonight. Appreciate you guys.
We'll see you next time.